I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Port of Oswego Authority and begin by introducing everyone, beginning with you, Bill.
Bill Scriber, Port of Oswego.
Ken Stevens, a member.
John Carroll Smith, board member.
Jerry Brown, member. Mike Shanley, attorney.
Amy Trusetter,
Fran
chair.
Everett, member.
And Fran, is anyone with you?
No, I'm alone right here in this room.
Thank you. We'll begin with motion 02-11-1901 to approve the minutes of 1/14/2019, which is Exhibit A. If everyone wants to take a look, could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any edits, amendments, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the administrative operational report, which is Exhibit B, so I will turn it over to you, Bill.
Okay, I'll keep my report as concise as possible. I attended the Great Lakes Waterway Conference meeting and also the American Great Lakes Port Association meeting in Cleveland back in February 4th through the 6th. I want to say that I didn't realize, but we're a very unique port. I was asked to be a speaker at the Waterways Conference, which was, I guess, a great honor. I didn't get told the last minute, but I think I did well. At least some people said I did. It was a very informative conference. It basically is Army Corps, Coast Guard, ports, businesses, everything around the lakes get together. Sort of like the H2O highway we went to, but on the American side. Got to see a lot of old faces and meet a lot of new people. So I think it was very worthwhile, especially seeing, we're the only lake, we're the only port on Lake Ontario in New York State, which surprised some people. Next, Amy and myself met last week with the mayor, Rob Simpson, Center State CEO, and Katie Toomey of the Fulton Oswego Chamber of Commerce. Basically go over, Jerry, what we had planning development had on our plans and development. I think it was very receptive, very positive. It was to forge a new relationship moving forward on joint projects. And I think that the mayor realizes our impact in the community and has expressed his desire to be helpful, I would assume. Next, yes, sir.
Hey, did you at all allude to the fact that we were toying with the idea of developing the West Pier Head?
Yes, we alluded to it directly. We said we had had some inquiries from the Central New York Regional Arts Council, and that we had no definitive plans, but we were looking at what could be accomplished over there. He was very excited, and I think Amy quite looking to be helpful.
Mhm.
Next, I have a meeting March 1st with the new chair of the Assembly Transportation Committee. That is our local Central New York Assemblyman, William Magnarelli, out of Syracuse. We are forging a new relationship with the Assembly and the Senate. He has expressed the desire to be very helpful to the port. And he is 100% behind our focused mission of developing the intermodal portion of our port, our water and our rail over here as a commercial entity. He thinks it's crucial for Central New York. So I'll be reporting back to you at our next meeting. Also, we will be submitting, I understand it's probably the first time ever, a capital request in the the Assembly budget and the Senate budget. That capital budget request is going to be for the purchase of a crane. The reason we need a crane is that we are the only operating port on the Great Lakes that is a authority or a major port, I mean, there's some smaller ports, but, we're a major port in the Great Lakes, it does not own a crane. What does that mean? It means that I have to go get a third party to use cranes. That means I increase my costs. So to be very, very committed to being a growing commercial port, we need to have a crane on site. And I mean one of about 110 ton class,
What was his response to that?
positive. So it's already being submitted as we
So
speak.
it's being pushed by him as far as how
Yes.
much money did we ask for?
We asked for what the cost would be, $790,000. That is a Liebherr 110T. It is a mobile crane, so we'd be able to use it both on dock.
All
And up at
hydraulic,
the-
extendable, and the
Yep,
whole thing?
yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
Could we get that on surface?
Or leave.
no.
No?
let's get
This-
a brand
this
new
is-
one.
The Liebherr, the model that I chose is one of the most state-of-the-art cranes in the market today. It is almost functionally automatic. You can actually program it in it, your weight you wanna pick, and it will tell you when you can't do it. There used to be the old days, actually, we have a crane, a 35-ton surplus P&H at the, we bought for $3,500. You have to go by a chart there and a little gauge. This one, you punch stuff in, your
What the angle of the
joystick.
boom
Yep,
is, what the weight of the load is, whether
Yep.
it's over the side, whether it's
Yep.
over the back.
yep,
And this thing operates with handles like this.
yep. Yes, he can probably tell you more about it than I can. Yes, yes. This thing will put us in a position where we can then bid on projects and beat, let's say, most ports on this lake and around us.
Should've
And
went
what,
for 150 ton.
yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Well, but what it does for us is make us, number one, very more commercially viable to handle projects, and it gives us a closer window of when we can do a project, because we have a crane here, we don't have to wait for somebody else to do. By just knowing other stevedoring companies and people around the lakes, knowing we have a crane on site, capable of handling just about anything, it places us in a area which we really need to be in the future, so.
You need special training for operators, or?
We can discuss that later.
Would it have been the better to lease versus
Answer my
buy?
question.
I'm putting it in as a capital expenditure in state budget.
Okay.
So,
Got it.
so, did I say more than that?
No,
Let those
Thank
people
you.
down in Westchester pay a little bit for our
yeah,
crane. you know.
yeah.
Well, it'll bring a great economic benefit to central New York. And, I mean, when you're talking about increasing business and jobs and the economy, this one investment will be, a multiplier will be 5 and 10% more, multiples 5 and 10 times more than what we actually, they'll invest in it. And these things last for 15, 20 years and well maintained, which we will. Quite honestly, this thing will be producing its cost back to the local economy 5, 10, 15 times, so.
Doesn't hurt when they control the Senate too, does it? And the House?
Okay. Next, I attended the luncheon in Syracuse for the Central New York Business Association's import. It was basically on the inland port, CSX. I just attended that because I wanted to know what was going on in the inland port to see if we're out of it now. They seem to have a good solid plan, they're progressing quickly with it, and they expect to have something up and operating by this fall, so, I have to call it back.
Who's missing that?
He's on his-
There he is, he's back. I didn't say anything till you got back. Okay. Last, I met with Congressman Katko's local office, constituent representative. I wanted to go over what we're doing here now. It's been over a year since, we've had development plans. We have to look to him, he's on the transportation committee. So I wanted to give him an update, his staff an update personally of what is going on and what our plans are in the future and how we're doing. So the congressman will be well tuned in. And just to add one thing very briefly, I just got off the phone today with Senator Schumer's staff, and we are progressing on our request to have the deepening of the channel coming in. There will be a report, paper report, Post-Standard, probably Sunday.
Nice.
They've taken it in, the Post-Standard reporter's really taken an interest to this. I keep saying this again, I'll keep saying it, because this is my new mantra, is the only port on Lake Ontario, in New York State. We are the commercial development for central New York. And it's important that we have the availability of the channel deeper than what it is now. Yes, we're at seaway depth most of the year, and there isn't a problem, but as we move forward and look for bigger and more, we want to have the channel both widened and deepened.
Hey, Bill?
And that's what I have. Yes, Fran?
How about any update from Mike Cassidy and that group and what we're doing?
Yes, there is an update. The update is I'm meeting with Assemblyman Bill Magnarelli on March 1st, and we're submitting 2 requests to the budget this year that they're spearheading. One is a capital and one is appropriation.
Yeah, that's, because that's what we were working on before I left.
Yep.
Debbie to get that
Yep,
information. out.
she did. They think it's a strong case. They're delivering it this week personally, and I'm following up in Syracuse with the chairman on March 1st. So everything is ahead, and as far as the FEMA money, that's getting tacked down. I think that we'll probably have an answer by the middle of March.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any questions, other questions for Bill? Okay, thanks, Bill. We're gonna move on now to motion 02-11-1902 to accept the December primary financial reports, which is Exhibit C1. May I have a motion?
So made.
And
So
a
moved.
second?
Second.
Everybody would like to take a look at that.
On C1, Bill, only because I've been assigned to this position, the ILA pension, Port Authority income statement, C1, page 1 of 2.
Okay?
It's, we had a budget of 24,583. The actual was 36,866. Was there additional man-hour required for some of the projects that we had on site?
Not additional, but you'll notice that we're $587,356.79 over revenue last year. That directly relates to the ILA.
Okay.
The more we employ, the more revenue we get in, that reflects it. So,
Well, that was what I was wondering about.
yeah,
Okay.
our revenue the prior year is up over $500,000.
Okay.
I just want Tom to know we're on C1, Tom.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah,
How you doing?
keep going.
Those are for the ILA
Yeah.
pension for us to discuss.
Thank you.
I don't have any more.
I'll give Tom a minute to look at
Yeah, I taken a look at the financials ahead of time. I catching the tail end of Bill's conversation. You know, I concur with him that the trends that you see in the revenue side are reflected in the net activity as well as the balance sheet in terms of building of surplus, and cash is a little bit of a different matter, but I think a lot of that is
Well,
function of the receivable line.
my indicator is what I am achieving over last year,
Yeah.
if it's plus, and that's what I've been focusing on, is trying to create a revenue stream that tries to get us back balanced again.
Yeah.
Because you know, Tom knows what our audit was last year, what our deficit was, so.
Yeah.
I've been working diligently to bring that into a more positive frame.
Yeah, and if you look at the change in cash and the change in receivables over the period, that's where the net gain sits.
On the receivables, I don't know if we're there yet, but
Go there.
We will be soon.
Okay, I got something that's,
Okay.
just to point out on that.
I just want to make sure everyone is satisfied and have asked the questions they want to ask about C1 before we vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move on to motion 02-11-1903 to accept the December subsidiary financial reports exhibit C2. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any questions for Bill on C2?
IPFS Corporation General Insurance, can you tell me what that covers now?
Yeah, that's our payment for our plan with Fitzgibbons. We don't pay all the insurance, obviously it would be too much all at once, the cash flow, so we finance as we usually have, the same financing company.
I thought I saw
How
another
do we
thing.
pay that, quarterly or?
Yes,
Well, how about this, Fitzgibbons Agency, general liability and property insurance, the monthly premium? So our monthly premiums are the 16,000 for,
it varies on what we're paying in certain years. We haven't synced them all, because John took over out of sync, so we're gonna sync them all together. So there's some we have on direct pay, and some we have on a plan, a repayment plan.
and
So
how
that's
will
gonna
they,
vary.
how will they sync? When will they sync?
John's working on that, well, probably next year we'll have them all synced.
Okay.
But I have to say, as I originally said, he's saving us around $12,000 opposed to the last company over all of our insurances, so I'm very happy with him.
Okay. How about Port City Logistics loader rental?
That's a pass-through, I'm glad you said that. That was for the grain ships we did. We
So
rented
that
from-
goes
that was a
directly to
loader.
Purdue?
Purdue pays that, yes.
Purdue, okay. So we'll see that showing up here sometime soon, I'm sure. I'm sorry, I didn't do my homework. Give me just another couple of minutes.
Okay.
Well, in that, Bill, you had a couple of comments relative to the receivables.
Yeah, receivables, and you saw it on receivables, I just wanted to update you that, this is December report. We basically have wiped out our 1 through 20, our 91 is 0, our 61 through 90, we received the payments on that. Our 31 to 60, actually, if we look at what's paid in, is $1,822, and our current through 30 is $38,877.39. So my team, both Patty and Pam and Debbie are doing a great job getting things billed and getting our money back in. So I just wanted to, because the December report is kind of like
Right.
a lag, that we are currently on our billing
Yeah.
and receivables.
I think the footnotes tell that story.
Tracy Road equipment for grain shipment, is that also a pass-through?
Yep, well, no, we're paying that one.
We're paying that one.
We have an agreement with Purdue that they pay for one, we pay for one, and we pick the one that's under state contract, because I don't have to do anything other than just pick it under state contract.
Okay. And Brown and Weintraub, 5,000 for December. Are we getting anything out of Brown and
I
Weintraub?
think French recommend that.
Yes, Fran?
Oh, well, Kenny was just hitting on it, I was gonna talk about that Brown and Weinreb, our lobbyist there. And I was a little bit perturbed about the, I should say, lack of communication that was going on between them and us. And after a couple of phone calls, apparently they agreed, and I'll let Bill fill you in on that.
Yeah, number one, I think they've been very helpful, but you have to understand that, just as we were approaching the end of the road, when the governor was getting reelected, he just basically purged out most of the second floor. But we're dealing with people that we know, and we're moving ahead with that, and we're bringing the new people up to speed on what we want accomplished. I think that with a discussion, Fran and I had a discussion, we got them to reduce their fee by 50%. So we're not paying $5,000 anymore, we're paying $2,500. And It looks to be positive. I think that the issue is, I keep talking to the people I need to talk to, and they have the inroads to people, and I think it's a good investment overall for us.
Just one more question on the Impress funds. iHeart Corporation,
Yes.
what's up with that?
iHeart Corporation, they're now running our, I don't know, social media, I guess you'd call it. Amy and I had a meeting with them a little while ago. What this is they're running a Facebook page for us, and it is to enhance our, media exposure. They'll be handling press releases for us, Facebooking pages, and social media. Taking it away from sporadic and doing it more in a organized manner. One thing we found out is that we really did not ever brand ourselves. We are not branded. We are branding now. Part of that brand is who we are and what we do. As I keep saying, New York State's only port on Lake Ontario, that is part of our branding. What that gives us is a market share that is unique. And I think it's already, how do I put this, caught the notice of the Assembly and the Senate, because now they are looking to us as a integral transportation partner in central New York. And we're not competing against anybody, but we are competing with who knows what we do and has a positive view of what we do. So this is the first step towards trying to rebrand the port in a positive, outgoing manner to actually put ourselves in a commercial stance. I'm focusing also on magazines which forwarders, stevedoring, and people who are shipping read, like the St. Lawrence Seaway Review. That is a ad that brings back business. So that whole, I guess, plan, you were part of the meeting, is what we've been discussing.
They have a much broader reach, social media wise, than we could accomplish on our own. And it helps to keep the community informed and aware of what we're doing here.
Could I ask two questions? One for you to consider and one just because I'd like to know. This is creative. How about, instead of saying first New York port on the Great Lakes, how about saying you're welcome to America port on the Great Lakes?
Well, that's something we can discuss when it's
Discuss.
time.
Something like that, okay? The second is, can we quantify what their achievements are?
We will be getting reports on number of hits and follow-ups and shares.
Okay,
That's part of their reports to us. And I would be glad to share them with the board.
okay.
Then you can interpret that data and see if it creates intelligence.
Well, you know, Tom, the biggest problem is people in Swindle don't know what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I agree with having
Yeah.
a social media presence. You're outsourcing it to a third party. I heard as we go, which is fine. They know what the local flavor needs to be. But the data that sits behind those web pages and those Facebook pages that tells you how many clicks, I don't know what that means anything. Just for,
And as far as AP and AR, they're looking good.
Well, thank you.
yeah, there is just on the AP side, you have a credit in there that, just,
$77 or something.
no, it's the.
1,400?
No, it's the one with the insurance fund, with 8,000, that you have over
Yeah.
20,
Oh, yeah.
but it's sitting there as a credit. That means,
Readjustment of our classification.
what does that mean?
That's comp.
What does that mean?
It means that when they rate us, they did not give us a current rating. They re-rate us with a better rating. We have not had an accident. We've
Right.
had no reportables, and that all goes to your comp rating. So they lowered our comp rating.
So you're carrying a credit with them until that credit's eaten through?
It'll go down. And instead of paying the bill, we just get the
You
credit.
eat into the credit until it's done.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All set?
Also.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the chairman's report. I have no report this month. So we'll move on to committee reports. Executive committee, no report. Audit and finance, Tom?
Yeah, well, there's a meeting scheduled for tomorrow night, but to tell you the truth, it's just myself, Jerry, and Fran, and without, Fran here, I'd rather just as soon wait.
Okay.
But I do know that there was some, Bill, did Debbie give you anything to give to me on that, on the?
Yeah, it's out there on the
Okay.
ABO. Yeah.
Okay, I think that there's, there was communication to the principal on the audit relative to, doing an RFP relative to, New York State's law that, business partner relationships or vendor contracts be rebid over a certain period of time. The audit services as independent, have to be done through the audit committee and the board for them to remain independent. So if you think there's anything that we need to be doing relative to the auditors, you have to run it through the audit committee,
Well,
otherwise we'd be losing.
I apologize.
Hence, it looks like you're hiring the people who
No,
are
the
inspecting.
the board always makes
Yeah,
decisions.
no, I know.
I mean, the only thing
But
was.
the
is I-
decision on when to RFP too would be a board.
Well, what I was told from Debbie, the contract expired, and said we need to get that out, so
Yeah,
I'm just following 17A.
That's
So-
the contract, they give you an annual representation letter. And so, the function of when do you change auditors has to be done fairly judiciously, because you don't RFP if you're not gonna look at them seriously for change. I wouldn't change during a period in which, we didn't, the ones we were using, that was, Sobe Bowie, that was purchased by Bowers, you have a much stronger management team right now on it. They've been on for about the last 2 years. And given that the IG's investigation is still marked as open, I would not take the entity that knows what went on and change it now. So what you need is a rep letter from them, not an RFP. Because an RFP, it would just be the wrong time to do one.
Again, I'll do whatever you ask me to do. I was just reacting at the time to, 17A contract was up, so.
Okay, so tell me what 17A is.
17A is that when all services, except for legal services, which are exempt, have to go to state contract system, have the MWBE and SODB requirement.
Mhm.
So,
Are we sure that they just do legal and they don't do accounting? It's really more important that you have
okay. Well,
independent
they have it-
auditor than
they
independent counsel.
They have it in the past, okayed auditing services. They've been not in our list of exempt or are excluded categories. I'm sure we can get them in that category. Legal services are usually hired by the board, and
Yeah,
so they're confidential,
yeah.
lawyer confidential,
Yeah.
so they give latitude on that. But accounting services, they more or less view as a big pot.
There's two things. You can hire a bunch of accounting services, but the auditor that opines to your financial statements under the function of an audit has to be hired by the audit committee in order for it to maintain independence from management. Because management, can't hire its own watchkeeper, so to speak.
And I agree with that, I have no
Yeah.
issue with that.
No, I know you.
It's,
But it doesn't make sense for me
Right.
that the state doesn't clearly recognize it, because they talked about partner rotation, which came out of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002, after the, Tyco, WorldCom, Enron blow up with Arthur Anderson. All the accounting rules were, rewritten, the accountants themselves got an oversight regulator. There's an oversight board, which they hated, but
Mr. Waxman's shooting gallery.
That's it. So, there's specific times in which an organization would look to change. If you change too frequently, it looks like you're trying to hide something. If, you stay too long with somebody, it looks like you're too cozy. And then there's the partner rotation requirements. I just wouldn't do it during an open investigation. I don't know what we need to do to close that investigation, but at some point there should be some correspondence that says they've gone through that cycle. So that kind of brings us to the other thing I wanted to accomplish in the audit committee, which was, we never really got back around to some of the policies
Yes,
that need to be, tightened up, that we learned our lesson for the last time.
right.
And I know that we talked about having, where would then the EDs, travel expenses be, who would look at them at the end?
Mhm.
And that was supposed to be an audit committee function.
Right.
I don't want to do it, but it has to land somewhere, so that, it would be the chair or the chair of the audit committee or some other person designated that's independent from the function and doesn't work for the ED, so. In my organization, that's the audit committee.
Yeah, and
Do
I
they love
think
doing
that is
it?
good, especially since I'm signing
Yeah,
those. It
Oh,
should
you're signing,
Yes, so it
okay.
should probably go to the audit committee.
okay, well,
instead.
if you're signing them, I think then you might want to just sign them and kick to the audit committee those when you have, it's not clear to you.
Okay,
Just as long as there's a record compared to, there wasn't one.
Yeah, but I think we need to just finalize that policy that's still in draft
I
form.
agree.
And then we gotta just say to ourselves, with those help, are there other policies that we really should have in place that represent good governance that are in place?
Yeah, I
That's really the
suggested,
governance committee that might wanna do that.
when the previous director first came here, I had suggested there is a state regulation to have an internal auditor. And that was only to do some spot checks on like petty cash.
Mhm.
If certain POs matched up with the whole paper chain, and then that person reports to the board like either quarterly or once a year, however they want to do it.
Yeah.
I have that policy written,
Okay,
and that's a check and balance on not only to the employees, but to me.
yeah,
and-
no,
and-
that's good.
That I had, that was written, and it's called the Internal Control Act, and all larger agencies use it. So, I mean,
Yep.
I'd be glad to share that with you.
Yeah, I think what would be good, Bill, is to, look at first the applicable statutory guidance. And then, so that we understand, what statutory guidance is, and then you can say, okay, here's what other organizations are doing to meet those thresholds. Because otherwise, I'm depending upon my knowledge of the public trading sector, that is, SEC type guidance, which isn't applicable here. So my experience is more SEC related, Securities and Exchange Commission related, than it is, New York State. This is clearly a New York State entity and needs to follow New York State rules, which, we know the enabling legislation and the laws under which we function, but I don't know that we're always informed on the compliance side of what laws change, how should we respond to them. So there's an overall compliance function that doesn't really exist, and the fact that there's an internal audit function doesn't really exist. Both of those things, exist to, again, if you look at the sectors that I'm familiar with, you can have smaller institutions with internal audit and compliance functions internally, but you could also have them as third-party services. And I would be surprised if there wasn't a third-party service out there that didn't do compliance overview as well as, internal controls. So that what you'd be doing is maybe hiring somebody to just take a look and say, do we have the policy in place that we should? Are our internal control systems adequate? Because then, you're right, internal controls is different than audit, which is really opining to the financial statements, which is a backwards test of the numbers within the financial statements. That is just saying, okay, here's what you're representing in cash, here's what you're representing in receivables, here's what you're representing in inventory and fixed assets. Let me go, sample those things and test them to see if I'm comfortable with how the general ledger tracks with how, you know, the process is booked. But that is not meant to opine on the internal control systems, which are different. The internal control systems would be more related to their fraud activities taking place, and, you know, is it cleanup rate? Do we have holes where fraud could take place? You know, and the orders that we have, you have to go through a whole fraud questionnaire, which is silly, because they sit in your office and they say, are you, you know, aware of any fraud? Which you say, well, no, but if I was, even waiting to you to ask me would be fraudulent.
Yeah.
So,
At that point, I'd like to make a note too, that, as a member of the trustees of the ILA pension fund, I have given the chairman of the audit committee a copy of the actions that have taken place, the chronological actions that have taken place over the past several weeks since I've been a member. I would like to continue to do that if he wants me to, but I would like to have also proof of what my actions are on this side of the Board of Trustees for the board. If you think it's a good thing, I'm concerned about it because there's a lot of money involved.
so, Michael, I don't know what fiduciary responsibility Ken has in acting in that capacity, and whether in that, you know, fiduciary responsibility, you know, beyond the duties of care and loyalty, is there a fiduciary responsibility as trustee that, you know, means he has to have a certain level of knowledge of what the underlying investments are, that the investments are prudent. These are, you know, fairly, you know, could be, you know, they're deemed fairly complex bless you, duties.
Let me take some, I'll
Yeah.
research it and then
Yeah.
let the board know.
That would be good, because there's considerable amounts of money that I'm signing for. And I would like to have some official record on our side of that. Now, as far as the fiduciary responsibilities of picking the investments, I can say this, their pension, I think you were here last time, but their pension fund is 118% of full vesting. So they're 18% over the best vesting that they can have in their pension fund at this point in time.
Well,
Where other pension funds at this time in life are actually at a
I'm not
minus.
sure,
Yeah.
invested is the right word, as opposed to funded, right? So they're funded by 18% against the liability.
Yes.
Which is, you know,
If they had
The
to pay out,
assets-
if they had to pay
yeah,
out today.
the assets invested exceed the liability, and usually it's done on a projected basis. That is, the projected future liability discounted back to the present value is the liability.
Considering amount of work
against the
expected
assets.
and so on. Yeah.
And then, so you have a funded status within the plan, and that sort of brings us to this bill. If there's a funded status within the plan, either a deficit funded status or a positive funded status, that funded status, as well as a net pension cost or net pension expense, would have to flow through our balance sheet for us to really be part of the party to it, which is what I don't understand then on the billing from Charles Chambers, why they'd be saying that it goes to, okay, you're just giving us to this, so they're just charging.
This is a review of the last 4 years. They, Fuss, Charles, and Chambers
Yeah.
came in as a new audit.
Yeah. But
Company.
who do they expect to pay this bill?
Well, they expect obviously the pension fund.
Okay.
But the pension fund lawyer, Mr. McGow, wants to come and talk to us and see if we'll split it 50-50.
No, it's not an asset on our books.
I understand
So
that.
if he wants to give us the net funded status of the, you know, pension fund asset, then sure, then it's our fund. But it's theirs.
Just thought I'd bring it in.
I know.
I'm
This is the
only,
point.
I'm serving my
But
purposes.
this is the point I
to
wanted
go
to make sure
between.
that we know, you know, we know that. We've never had this fund reflected on our balance sheet.
This fund will be, according to what I was told verbally, will be $9,000 this year. This is for prior work that they have done.
Who does the actuarial reporting, do you know?
I believe Fuss, Charles, and
I
Chambers.
would think that they do. But,
So
well,
we're talking $37,000 here.
Yeah, again, you know, that,
I think they brought
is-
this up once before, and I think it was declined.
Right.
He has to be seen, he has to come to our meeting and talk with us.
This is for the auditors, and I understand.
That's why I
Well, they, I think I
Okay.
reported they wanted
Big-
us to pay 50/50, and we said no.
It's not on our balance sheet, we do not have a reporting liability for it, therefore we have no financial.
Well,
fiduciary
maybe they wanted to
responsibility.
try the new guy out, that's all.
You
know,
That happens.
I've got 5 shields though, I peel them off one at a time.
It is my understanding the contract we have is basically that we pay a certain amount of health and welfare per hour,
Right.
and it's to the ILA, and that
That's it.
ends our,
Yeah, which is why I don't understand why we have a fiduciary role on the board.
I didn't think we did, I was a gentleman and I told him I would bring it to the board.
Yeah.
I don't understand either.
Because, you know, it creates a liability, you know, very personally for Ken.
If you can believe I'm a gentleman.
You're a gentleman and.
That goes back,
You heard
that
that,
goes back
right?
historically.
Because Jim Cluden technically was an employee, and he was the one, but he never,
Yeah,
he just,
yeah, I know.
we don't wanna get
I
into
don't-
that.
I don't know if it was just a practice.
And I want you to know that 12/31/18 entry for $1,050, I didn't get any of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did you hear me,
Think about it
Governor?
this way, though, the difference. You know, here we own this property that the museum sits on. We apparently started the museum, yet we play no governance role there. Here's money in a pension fund that really goes outside of our organization. We have no control over those funds or how they're invested, and yet we have fiduciary responsibility over them. That doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
So sometimes things just happen out of practice, and we've got to say to ourselves, does that hold up against logic? And I know that you know, this is my second stint sitting at this table. You know, anything that's wrong is a function of, you know, my having been ignorant of it being wrong too. So I'm not, you know, pointing any fingers except, you know, at myself. I look at these two things and say, neither of them make sense to me. I have no idea that, you know, what the museum situation was. I have no idea what the pension fund situation is supposed to be.
It's a funding.
But neither of them make sense to me right now, relative to what I do now.
Well, I strongly suggest that the board does have a member. I think the member who's on our screen, Mr. Enright, had volunteered to be on the museum board.
Yeah, I think that's an easy one.
Yeah.
This is way more complicated, and I think, you know, Ken has the right idea to express some concern. If that thing, you know, look, if this was vested with Bernie Madoff, you know, 2.0,
I have a lot of thought.
and all of a sudden that money's gone, somebody's gonna look to the board, and they're gonna look at this guy and say, well, what kind of due diligence did you conduct?
This isn't my first rodeo. I agree. That's why I'm saying, and doing what I'm doing.
I know. That's why I'm agreeing.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah,
you think we ought to invite, Stu McGow?
yeah, I think we need their legal input on it, and then, you know, we need to have, you know, Mike here at that time, and then,
Yeah.
you know, we have to see if we agree with whatever position he's putting forth, because,
For the time being, can I continue to bring you?
yeah,
Okay, just so we've got record.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But, you know, this still doesn't, you know, this shows me that, you know, attorneys are engaged, it shows me that auditors are engaged, but I still don't know how the damn funds are invested.
Exactly.
Well, if we're going to invite him, do you want to see him at a full board meeting or an audit committee meeting?
I think educationally, given the size of the board right now, the committee sizes, I'd rather just bring it to the board.
Okay,
You know, do it in executive session, because
But
we'll
you have to
be
take care of the
talking
invite of mine.
about a plan that's not under our
Invite of the
auspices.
meeting.
okay, we'll do that then.
You know, there may be some flexibility for us, but still, I mean, if he says the right things.
I wanna know, you know, that clearly that there's some guiding document somewhere that
Exactly.
established it, and I wanna know what those are, so,
And
I was
I've
appointed.
always believed in
They
being
fought
open
it,
myself.
they fought it.
yeah,
Stu McGow fought having an attorney.
oh, yeah,
He didn't want an attorney.
Right,
But we found out that was the way to go, and that's how we did it at that time. Oh, one thing, when Tom brought up the open investigation, the reason it still may be open, because they may wanna come back and check, have we
Yeah.
done
no
everything we're
question.
supposed to have
Are
done? And
you
if
on
we
that?
haven't, then I think we'd be in.
I'll get you a
Judah.
copy.
Well, could you get my
In fact,
iPad Pro and phone back? Because now it's 2 generations back and I can't
well,
trade it
take
in.
that.
I don't like to call them, I don't wanna call them.
Fran, I'll give you a copy of this too when you get back, or do you want me to mail it to you? Lost him.
Yeah.
He's there.
No, it's gonna
Get one more copy.
You're back.
Not now.
Okay. Did you hear Ken's question? Fran?
No, I didn't hear the
Do
question.
you want a copy of his paperwork mailed to you, or do you just wanna wait till you come back?
Can you email it to me?
Can you email it?
We can put it on PDF.
Yeah.
Give it to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Patty can email it.
Patty will email it to you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Are you all set, Tom?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Can
we
I
can
talk
look
to you
through
for a
the
second
open
after the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Governance Committee, John, do you have any report?
No,
We said everything I thought about it.
And Planning and Development, Jerry?
No, except for
We're gonna have a
got a
meeting.
possible meeting with Mercedes on,
Well, not her. We're gonna have a meeting with a couple of people who put in requests for usage of the Global
oh,
Dock.
okay, I
So, yeah, they're
misunderstood.
gonna go before you. There's
Okay,
actually a plan that the lady that was there with the kayaks and bicycles last year, she has a plan to put. I asked her, give me your plan, and she's gonna present it to the committee. I'm gonna recommend that we continue that.
sure.
She's an impressive entrepreneur. I've met with her.
Yeah.
Who is this?
I can't remember her name.
Jennifer Mays.
Yeah, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I, as we said when we did this, we don't want to cut that access off, we wanna keep that, but as I told Mercedes, there are a number of safety violations over there that we have to address when we put people out there. It's not gonna be good for us, for anybody. I mean, there's rebar sticking out there, there's substandard railings, which people could be injured if they got against. I mean, I went out with a couple people, with Fran, and looked at it, so,
If it's port property, then it's port liability,
yeah.
and you gotta wanna make sure that you're.
Our insurances, John had reviewed it. Yeah.
But also,
Does their
and
insurance-
taking the safety.
Does their insurance also cover us? Are we an additional insured in their policy?
That's part of the requirement of the form, is that we have to provide as a current insurance during the term of the paperwork, that they will be an additional, they'll name us as additional insured on the policy.
Have we received anything showing that?
Well, that is prior to them actually being authorized, we have to have that.
Right.
Yeah, Jerry and Ken, you looked at the form outside some grammatical, grammatical, yeah. I had a migraine today, so I'm still recovering. Errors, it's been fixed. It's a standard property use form, somewhat more technical than what the city uses, but the city uses one that's very similar to it.
Okay. Are you all set then, Jerry? You're gonna have that meeting and before the next regular meeting, do you think, or?
Ken's gonna see if he can
I'll be able to meet sometime next
sometime,
week.
but we don't know exactly.
I got so
can
many
do it
doctor's
anytime.
appointments on that calendar now.
Whether we should have Fran, Skype in or not, I
I got
don't
neck
know.
surgery,
But you can
plus
decide
lower
that.
back surgery.
Yeah,
That accident gave me a hell
There's
of a
paperwork I
shot.
can give them.
okay,
That what?
I was in an accident before Christmas,
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can just conference
wife
call
had
you
a-
in that, I mean.
Bladder prolapse surgery,
attorney's report, do you have
That tore it.
anything, Michael?
Not for the
50%
open
of the
session.
heart.
Okay.
We
We
discussed
were
something.
passing
else.
next
Old
to the
business,
car.
I have no old
This is
business,
Friday
does
before
anyone else
Friday.
have anything to bring up?
The guy went through an intersection about 40 miles an hour.
New business, anyone?
Over in Fulton.
Think the front end is flooded or T-bone?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, no new
I'm
business.
sorry, well, excuse me.
Motion 02-11-1904 to enter executive session for purposes of discussing an employment contract.
So,
May I have a motion?
second.
All in
Tom
favor?
first?
yeah,
Tom and John.
Okay.
Any opposed? No one's opposed, motion carries. We are now entering executive session. Motion 02-11-1905 to resume regular session. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion 02-11-1906. Tom, would you read that for us, please?
Yes, after coming out of executive session in discussion of the employment agreement between the Port of Oswego Authority and William W. Scriver, we would like to take the following actions for right now. One is certainly to reiterate and recognize Bill's job performance both as executive director and as interim executive director during the period that he's having to do more than one job and also having to rebuild an organization that was partly damaged. What we'd like to do is adopt this contract no later than the next board meeting. I don't know the specific date, but we could insert date therein.
March 4th.
March 4th of 2019. But prior to that, right now, adopt paragraph 2 of this contract, compensation and benefits, which paragraph 2 has subparagraphs A, B, C, and D, all of which would be adopted upon passage of this motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Second.
May I have a motion?
No, that was motion.
Okay.
Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So-
I'll make that motion.
And a second.
02-11-1906.
Second.
Clearly that
All in
hasn't been
favor of
working better
adjournment?
since
Who's
the board's been open,
Aye.
so that's part of the
Aye.
problem.
Any opposed?
We've heard that pretty clear,
Adjourn.